Hey everybody, I'm down in my medicine garden. It's early in the morning on a Saturday and I was just enjoying a cup of coffee. It's kind of overcast here today, so it's perfect for gardening, and I'm ready to get to the task. And I wanted to share with you what I'm doing today. So I'm down in the terraced medicine garden, and it's kind of been ignored since early spring. We have been preparing to do a physical garden tour of our entire property at the end of the summer. So we've been really focusing on making sure everything is safe and pathways are cleared and level and ready for people to be walking around the garden. And just making sure everything's cleaned up and it's really clear and obvious what each and every individual plant is, so that when people come through, and they will be avid gardeners themselves, so they'll be asking a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that I'm really familiar with everything, and I'm prepared to answer the questions they have. But today it's really time to get into this medicine garden. It is very overgrown and it is time to harvest. So part of cleaning up a garden is weeding and pruning and obviously all the other good stuff, but weeding and pruning is a big part of it, and I like to get everything done at once. You know how I roll. I enjoy keeping everything as simple as possible. So today I won't just be weeding and harvesting, or weeding and pruning. I will be harvesting and propagating as well. You may as well propagate while you're pruning because you're already taking cuttings, right? So if you have everything all prepared, and you can just take a cutting right then and there and stick it in some water or some rooting medium, whatever you're using for that particular cutting. If it's sitting right there when you're doing your pruning job, it's not going to be a big deal to just do right then and there. I have a very loud blue jay who wants to be part of this conversation. I don't know if it's coming through here or not, but it's really loud on my end. And then the other part is harvesting. So yes, I need to prune this garden because it's overgrown, but I also need to harvest because it's all medicine and it's time to dry them and get them ready for tea later on in the year. So basically what I do is I just prune everything, put them all in different, either in brown paper bags or laid out flat depending on the plant, and then that way they can dry, and then I put them in jars and label them, and then they're ready for tea blends later on. Most of it's tea. There's a couple of things that I use for syrup, but I won't be doing anything with that today. You could actually see the licorice plant right behind me, and those roots get used for cough syrup, but I won't be harvesting those roots today. Yeah, so I'm just going to get to it. I'm just going to video, well, first I'll turn this around and just give you an overview of what the garden looks like right now. And then I will it'll probably take me a couple of hours to do this. And then I'll show you some in shots and talk about what I did. So this is the herb garden here, and I'm going to throw up some before pictures when we first put in the terrace a couple years ago, just because it's really fun to see, right? Anyway, so I'm just going to start over at this and kind of give you an overview of what we have going on. I have a St. John's wort plant right here, but then the golden oregano is cascading down and crowding it, so I'm going to push this back, trim it up, obviously bring in the tops for tea. I've got some lovage here, and it's not ready to harvest. The heads are getting ready to, the seeds are forming on it, but it's not ready to go yet. But I could harvest some of the foliage. You could see it's getting a little sunburnt. Obviously, I'm going to prune that off. The borage, this is the first year this borage has been in here, so I'm just going to leave the flowers to do their thing and seed themselves, and then this area can be filled in with borage. I've got these rogue leeks. There's, I don't know, 5 or 6 of them in here, and they can just get harvested, and we'll use them in dinner this week. The Artemisia is doing fine. This is more of the golden oregano all through here. Time to harvest that back. The walking Egyptians are ready to, see, I have a rogue crocosmia right there that can come out, and then the walking Egyptians are ready to be harvested and propagated, split up, so new growth can come through. My sage I'll probably just leave alone, although I do have this one really tall crazy piece that I'll probably cut off. That is white sage. It is the traditional sage that people use to create smudge sticks. I decided to grow it myself because it's being over harvested in the wild, and I don't want to be a part of that. But if I grow it myself and I can make my own sage bundles, then I feel good about it. My comfrey is not as wild and crazy as it was last year. By this time last year, I would have been on the 3rd cut maybe. I'll have to look at my records. But I've also never allowed it to go to flower, so it's definitely time to get in there and cut that baby back. The licorice plant is super happy. I had really no idea that it would grow like this. It's like a vase shape. It's like reverse trailing. I don't know. But it does have some blooms. They're kind of insignificant, but I think they're cute. But I will cut them off so that the plant doesn't get overly leggy. And then I've got a lot of Shasta daisies that have just, they're done and they're ready to just get pulled out of there. I've got a lot of geranium in here that's also done and ready to get pulled out of here. And then my chives are ready to be harvested. And I've got some garlic in here that's just about ready to be harvested. See, it's all flopping over and starting to turn brown. I need to make room for the yarrow that's back there, so I'm gonna get that cleaned up. This lavender is split, and so I need to cut it back, and I'm gonna take some cuttings off of it because it's just getting a little too big for its space, and I'm gonna have to do something with it. I'll probably tie it up for the rest of the season and then make a decision about whether or not to pull it and plant a new one there. And then I've got some more oregano. This is dwarf oregano and standard oregano that just needs to be harvested. The standard oregano is starting to go to bloom. Sometimes I just let it go to bloom because it's really beautiful and the birds and the bees love it. The bees and hummingbirds actually really love that flower. So because I have so much oregano, sometimes it's nice to just let some of it go to flower. And then I have these beautiful nasturtiums. These are self-seeded. They were in my flower boxes up there last summer, and these are the seeds that dropped out of there, or the birds, you know, picked them off and dropped them out of there. I don't know, but I like it. It's fun. I don't mind it growing like that. That's the benefit of the cottage garden. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then the various different types of thymes are filling in really nicely. It's taking a couple of years, and it's, you know, some of them are definitely faster growing and better than other ones, but it's been a process, and I haven't decided if I love it or not. It's not exactly how I imagined it, but it's doing its thing. So for this year, it's fine. And I think that's pretty much it for this. I do need to also curtail the holly. It drives Spencer absolutely crazy, but I really would like to see it berry. It would be a nice winter interest. But I also can't let it grow too much, so there's a balance there. Same with the eucalyptus tree. It is wild this year, and it needs a little bit of trimming up, but I don't know if I'll get around to doing that this morning. That's not a high priority of mine right now. Right now I really just want to get to what needs to be harvested and propagated and pulled out of here. I am loving that I'm not seeing a whole lot of weeds. I mean, there are some for certain, but the ones that are there are really easy to pull. I do have a little bit of horsetail and the native crocosmia. Just that's never ending in this garden. So that's fine. All right, so I'm gonna get to it, guys. So I'm gonna have to use a shovel to divide these onions up a little bit, and then I will go ahead and do that after I work on the rest of the garden. Let's do the easy stuff first. So I have these little metal things that are supposed to be for peonies. It is not big enough for a peony. But, and see, they hook together like this and create this 8-inch circle. Or you can just do do two like this and keep hooking them. So I'm going to try something like this for this lavender and see what happens. Well, it's not the best solution, but at least it's pushed up and off of the garlic until it's ready to harvest. So this is a cranesbill geranium, and it just grows right up through the vinca, so I'm just kind of ripping that out of there, and it'll come back next year, and I don't have to worry about making it nice and tidy because the vinca is going to cover up all those cut stems. Well, that project ended up taking about 3 hours, and then I took a break, and then we got started on another project. So this is actually the next morning, and I just finished watering early in the morning before the sun hits the garden. And that helps the water retention a whole lot. Plus, our county is in a drought, so we try to water as little as possible. But this garden hasn't been watered in about 5 days, so after doing heavy pruning on it and messing with them so much yesterday, I wanted to give them an opportunity to have a good drink this morning. So I just wanted to do a quick overview of what I did yesterday. You can see the golden oregano is still there, still in a big patch, but much lower, and it's no longer crowding my St. John's wort. I just did a little bit of trimming on the lovage. I didn't really do much there. I still have not divided my walking Egyptians or walking onions. They will get done probably this afternoon because I have a plan for where the division's gonna go. And I didn't do anything with the sage. This is pineapple sage right here, white sage right here, and purple culinary sage right here. And you can, well, my video is going in and out. I don't know if that's gonna translate or not, but let's see what happens. You can see them all now, whereas in the previous videos you couldn't even see them because this was so tall, and then there was Shasta daisies growing all through it, and it just wasn't super clear. This whole area got cleared out. You can see the comfrey is much smaller than it was. The licorice plant got cut down just to maintain some structure. You can clearly see the succulent waterfall now, which I absolutely adore. It's all in bloom, so it still looks a little bit messy, but that's okay. I like letting it bloom. So and you can see that you could see all the vinca there next to the succulent waterfall, and that's because all the geranium got removed, which needed to be done desperately. And the lavender plant did get pushed up. I was able to harvest a couple of garlic back there, and I deadheaded the chives, and I need to clean them up a little bit more. And then this just got cleaned out, thinned up a little bit. Just, you could see a little bit more about what's going on in there. And I didn't do a whole lot more in here. I didn't get to the holly. Trying to see what else. Actually the comfrey took close to an hour to clean out, weed, and trim. And then I put all of the excess leaves into a 5-gallon bucket and with water, and it'll just sit there and just, so, you know, it'll become a compost tea. It takes about 5 or 6 weeks for that to happen, and then I can use it as fertilizer. The next harvest of comfrey leaves will be at the end of summer, and those leaves will actually just cover all the different spaces in the bed and act as a mulch. But that's it for gardening in the Mediterranean herb garden for a while anyways, until the next time I have to harvest, which will probably be in late August or early September at this point.